You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents A Better You. Lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. I am your host and executive producer. And with me today is a very good friend who is an expert. She is a storyteller. She's an author. She is the network connector. And she's also a beautiful person inside and out. I could go on and on about all the wonderful things. Let's bring her out so you can meet her yourself. It's Diann Floyd Boehm joining us from Texas. Hi, Diann.
Hi, that was so kind of you. Thank you. I'm honored.
Well, you are just a wonderful person, and you've made such an impression on me and so many other people. I was just sharing that on our Underdog show this morning. Our guest, Dr. Z, saw your commercial and she said, I think that I spoke to this woman. I think I was on a flight with her, she and her husband, and you're either going from Dubai or to Dubai. So that's how you left an impression on her. She knew you right away. So that's pretty cool.
It is cool. It's awesome. I actually recognized her.
So that's, you love to connect and you're always helping me. You've introduced me to so many people, and I'm hoping that people are connecting with our show and with our platform, A Better You. So Diann, you've been on a number of times, and if you would just share with our viewers and our listeners, we are live streaming on 6 platforms, and then our show will be turned into a podcast and it'll be on 5 more platforms. So that's 11 platforms. But if you would share with our audience the value that you see in being on this program, and then I'll bring you back and ask you to tell us more about who you are. Okay?
Sure. It sounds great.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. So everyone who's listening, I feel so blessed to be part of A Better You, and I want you to feel blessed too. And all you have to do is join Dr. Jacalyn on her website and make sure a reminder so you see the shows. One of the reasons I love it is that she branches out to so many different people around the world that are experts in their field. And there is something for you, and I just know it. And by listening to A Better You, you could discover ways to have your hopes and dreams come true. I mean, look at me, for example. I have always thought it would be fun to be on a radio show or something, and technology has allowed things to happen and merge. But to be able to be blessed to have met Dr. Jacalyn and then to be part of her show to help others improve and enjoy and reach their dreams is just a real goal setter. And I just know that any listener is going to grow from that. I know also, I mean, I could go on and on about it, but when you had one of these guests that did frequency and then another about with music and so forth, I'm such a believer in that. It's like, oh, I so want to take her classes. And then you had a drummer and I was like, oh my gosh, I love drumming and I love the bong. And so I'm like, oh, I want to click into that. So yes, it has something to do with children's books, but it's inspiring, and being connected with them is awesome. And I never would have been able to do that if it had not been for your show. So thank you, Dr. Jacalyn, because you do a lot behind the scenes.
Thank you, Diann. I appreciate it. That was really terrific. And as I shared with you, my eyes are killing me today from being on this platform and looking at this computer. The lights really do get to you. But we have had so many wonderful guests, and I feel like from where we started, so we started in August, just talking about getting better. We started in August with one show. And the one show was on Business Talk Radio, and we were on Facebook, and we were on YouTube. And now fast forward to April, as I mentioned, we're on 11 platforms. So people are actually seeing us on 5 platforms, listening to us on another one, and then everything turns into a podcast where they're listening. So I couldn't have done any of this without my team. So we've got our team of charter presenters, and everyone has just been so gracious and helpful. So thank you. We also have an announcement that you and I have a show that's starting on Fridays at 12 o'clock. And the name of the show is Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, Fashion, Fitness, Travel, and Leisure. So do you want to tell folks a little bit about what we're going to do?
Well, I'm excited, and I know I'm going to be learning as well. But to be able to meet some of the best in the industry in fashion, fitness, and travel and leisure, yay!
Yay!
It hits so many high points in people's lives. I think almost everybody enjoys fashion, whether it's from what is the most comfortable to wear, traveling or leisure to church, whatever. That's always exciting. And how to stay fit. And it doesn't necessarily mean exercise. It means how to stay fit and take care of your eyes, and how to stay fit and make sure you're hydrated. So I think we're going to have a lot of great guests.
That's fantastic. And I have a little surprise for you, Diann. I know we're on A Better You, but since it's my platform, I can do what I want, right? I want to show you what our bumper looks like. So this is not the intro because that's too long, but this is the bumper when we come back from breaks. This is the bumper for our show.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. The other stations are tuned into.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
What do you think?
It's so cute.
So cute. Mr. Al Cini, the creative genius who came up with that. So thank you, Al.
Yes, he's amazing, isn't he?
He certainly is. And by the way, I don't know if I told you this or not, but we had someone watch your commercial today, and now that person's going to hire us to do their commercial.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Great commercials, I tell you.
Yes.
I'm so honored.
So thank you for your sponsorship. We appreciate it. So I think what we'll do is we'll take a short commercial break. And when we come back, I'll have you introduce yourself, tell us what it is you're going to talk about for your 15-minute lesson, and then we'll have you go. How does that sound?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And because you brought it up, I'm going to play our sponsorship with Listening to Smile. So for all of you out there who are business owners and you're playing music in your establishment, please consider whether or not you have a commercial license to play that music. Let's say you're using your phone or using your iPad or your computer and you're streaming Pandora, Spotify, Apple Music. Did you pay or do you have a commercial license? Because if you're using whatever subscription you have for you personally, you can get fined pretty heavily because you don't have licensed music to use. So Listening to Smile, one of our sponsors, they actually provide music that is not only licensed, but it's frequency-based music. So it has proven health benefits. So imagine you have a yoga studio, you're a doctor's office, you're a restaurant, massage therapy, whatever it is you do, Reiki. If you have licensed music, you can have the confidence to know you're not going to get fined and you're doing the right thing. And you can also have music playing that helps soothe people, calm people, maybe lift people up, whatever it is you're looking to do. So here's Listening to Smile. The founders are Ian Morris and Dana Cato. Let's take a look at their clip and we'll be back with Diann after this.
The music, services, and programs that we offer at Listening to Smile are based off of scientific studies and research, along with our own personal experiences and testimonials from our clients and our affiliates that we work with worldwide. My own personal journey began in around 2010, and I tried to find relief from a chronic illness that I was diagnosed with. And the traditional ways of healing, they tried to fit me in this box, and that didn't work for me for so many reasons. And this led me to a self-discovery that I never expected to be so life-changing. Healing is multifaceted. It requires us to really look at our whole selves and to get really honest about what we see. I started to see movement towards recovery when I started to integrate yoga into my life daily. When I started to incorporate the music into all aspects of my life, including my yoga practice, my healing completely accelerated. And listening to Smile's music helped me to open my consciousness. I was able to open my eyes to new perspectives and make changes that I needed to make in order to recover. The most noticeable difference that I saw right away, like immediately after listening to my first frequency track, was how much my anxiety stopped, completely stopped. There was such a relief. My mind was actually quiet for the first time in so many years. I felt safe. I felt this comfort and this peace immediately. I continued to listen daily, and I found that amazing things were happening inside of me. I felt calmer, I felt happier. I felt like I was in this little bubble of peace. Physically, I started to see the changes happening. I started to see the things happening in my body that needed to happen for me to heal from my illness. I felt empowered, I felt hopeful, and something that I hadn't felt in years. This is why we at Listening to Smile integrate yoga and listening to Smile music together. We see such a huge benefit from integrating the music into other modalities of healing. It accelerates these modalities, it steps them up to another level because it works on the brainwave states and the neural pathways in the brain. This is something that is not very easy for us to do alone at home, but the Listening to Smile music makes that possible. This is where real change happens. This is where the body and the mind sync up and work towards health of the being as a whole. That is true health, and listening to Smile frequency music will get you there.
Welcome back to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents A Better You. I am your host and executive producer, and my guest is the lovely Diann Floyd Boehm. I always say lovely because you are lovely.
Thank you.
I just want to let people listening on the radio who can't see our banner know that if you go to the website listeningtosmile.com, listening the word to to.com, and you use code RWDJ, what does it stand for? Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. You can not only get licensed music. Imagine you're running a business. You have a million things to think about. Is your music licensed? You don't want somebody coming and finding you, because believe me, it does happen. So use code RWDJ to get licensed music and also to have frequency-based music to help you personally and professionally. All right. Thank you. Diann, I'm very excited for your presentation. And we have hello, sister-in-law. So I'm not sure if that's to you or to me.
We'll find out.
Yeah, could be either one of us. So we both say hello. Diann, say hello.
Hello.
Okay, please tell us who you are and what you're going to present today.
So I'm an International Children's Award now winning author. I'm very proud of that.
Woo!
I write children's books that make you want to love yourself, believe in yourself, and love others, as well as ways to help make the world a beautiful place. Today I'm going to actually talk about recipes for writing a quality children's book, and it's things that it's tips that I've learned along the way, because it's a journey for sure.
Fantastic. Diann, I am going to put up the 15-minute timer. Let me find it. Are you ready to go once I find it?
Yep, I'm ready to go.
Ready to go. And by the way, congratulations on all your accomplishments.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to mute myself, and it's over to you.
Well, hello, everyone. And if you have been thinking about wanting to write a book, or you've even started and then you put it down and thought, I don't know if I can do that, the first thing I want you to do is believe that you can. And you can because you talk every day and you tell stories every day. And that's all a children's book is telling stories. But there is a secret, and the secret comes differently for different people. So what I'd like to share with you today is some of the ingredients that I've been using in writing what I believe and others have shared with me is a successful children's book. So I hope you find them very helpful. So I'd like you to think about a recipe. When you go to cook something, you know, you need all these different things. You need your mixing bowl and the tools for it and the food and the ingredients, blah, blah, blah. And it's no different than if you sit down to write. There's a way you want to set it up, which I've talked with Dr. Jacalyn about before. But today, it's going to be the ingredients that go into making that book. And we're really just going to concentrate on one main one. But let me share with you what I think the ingredients are. And of course, it's different for different authors. So for me, the ingredients is you need to know what kind of book you're writing for. Is it a picture book that has, you know, for babies that have their only pictures? Is it a children's book, and what age are you writing it for? Is it an easy reader book or for young adults? So you need to identify that. And that's a whole process in itself in understanding. And then we have our tools. And our tools are very easy because it's our vocabulary and how we use those words and expressions and punctuations. And luckily enough, we have editors, so we don't have to be perfect at that. That's a whole discussion on its own. And then we have the characters, which is what we're going to concentrate on today. So I'm going to come back to that one. And then we have the plot, what's going to happen. And then, of course, we have the illustrations, which is another whole beast within itself. So those are the main ingredients that I use, and I hope they'll be ingredients that you find helpful. So with that, let's talk about the characters. And today, it's the main character. And what I'd like you to think about is, how do you go about it? Well, I have 3 words for you. I want you to meet, I want you to know, and I want you to trust. So meet, know, and trust. Meet, know, and trust. Meet, know, and trust. That is no different from when you meet a person for the first time. Hi, how are you? My name's Diann. Oh, it's so nice to meet you, Sally. And you start a conversation and you get to know them. And if you decide you want to continue to know more about them, you end up developing a trust with them. So with characters on a book, it's the same thing because you want to make that character real. At least I think so. So I like to say we create a backstory. Things about the character that don't necessarily need to go in the book, especially depending on the age level we're writing for, because you don't want tons of words if it's young readers. But by knowing the character, you're able to continue with the writing, which I'm going to explain more. So let's back up now. Meet. Just like I described, hi, how are you? We already know our plot. So the character, where does it go? Well, give your character a name. Give your character an age. Give your person, you need to know their age, their background, if they're tall, if they're not so tall, if they live at home, if they are living with their grandma maybe, or their grandpa, if it's the main character is an animal. All of that is in that character development. And I like how you can take make a big giant ball of clay, and every time you develop a little bit, the clay starts taking a shape until you actually have the formation of your character. And for some people that's drawing, but I like to play with clay. Then once you've decided about what their age is, their name, and you have them a little of a background story, you still need more. You need to know, okay, how do they speak? How do they dress? So, for example, also you need to know kind of what period you're writing for. Because if you were writing about the 1950s and it took place in a schoolyard, how kids dress in the 50s to school is a far cry from how kids dress today. And so you definitely want to make sure that you have that background correct. So, for example, when I was growing up, girls only wore dresses to school. And so I could not wait to get my new school clothes. That meant 5 new dresses, 1 new church dress, a pair of new school shoes, my Sunday school shoes, and my gym clothes. And that was exciting. And school didn't start till September, which is another thing you need to know about your character, where they live and when things happen. You also want to think about their speech and their vocabulary. How would they speak? For really young kids, they would definitely have a smaller and more limited vocabulary. And also where they live. So I'm in America, but I live in the South. And so we use the word y'all a lot. And to a lot of Northerners, they can't stand the word y'all. And then my friends in Seattle, they say you guys. So you want to make sure you have the verbiage correctly too for your character. Also, there's another word like up north, a lot of my friends use the word divan instead of a sofa or a couch. So what word would be the most appropriate for your particular character? And that plays a role too, because you want the character to be truthful. And then how do they dress? Do they dress sloppy? Do they dress the best they can, depending on the story again and the plot? Or do they dress just nice and casual all the time? It doesn't even matter where they're going. They're just going to dress this way because that's who they are. And all that has to come into creating the backstory in order for you to continue on to know how you're going to write about the character. And then you want to think about the description of them and how they do things. So, for example, let's say they were going to the ballpark because it's summertime, and it's let's just back up. It's like, for me, when I was younger, my brothers always went to the ballpark in the summertime, and a bunch of us girls went. And so there was the summer league baseball team and then the softball baseball team. And so there would be a description on how all that happened. And if you were like my brother Danny, man, you had a couple of bats, you had your glove ready, and you were ready to go, and you knew you were the best catcher on earth. And then there's a person like me, oh, I'm just kind of going because my brothers like baseball, and yeah, we'll see what happens. There's nothing else to do in the summertime. And so then I get up there, and you're supposed to try out for pitcher. And I'm like, well, I can throw the ball. Let's see what happens. Well, I go to throw the ball, and the first one goes and it barely goes over the plate. So how would you describe that character? You would say, well, she doesn't have that much muscle in her arms and she can't throw very straight. And obviously I couldn't. And then you would say, oh, she threw the ball again. She kind of got it over the plate. Well, maybe her arm's getting a little stronger. And then I personally, this is a true story, was so shocked that I finally got the ball over and the little girl didn't strike out. I was so shocked. I forgot to raise my glove up, and the ball comes and it hits me straight in the eye. I go flying down and had a great black eye. And obviously, I didn't get to become the pitcher. So knowing the character and having fun describing that character makes the kids laugh and feel sorry for the person at the same time. When you go to describe your characters and the things they do, you do want to work in, do they have limping muscles, or do they walk really straight and gracefully? Are they the character in school that once the person walks in, they're bigger than life and everyone just stops what they're doing and they just look at the dreamboat because he's just like the gorgeous new guy at school. Again, vocabulary. And what helps with that is it helps the illustrator, because the illustrator then knows how to draw the pictures to complement your words and your story. Which now leads me to, now you know your character. You met the character, you know your character, so you feel comfortable. The clay has met and they have their shape. Now you have to trust. And what do I mean by trust? It means that you know your character so well that that imaginary character trusts you to share the story and the plot beautifully, and everyone falls in love with the character, meaning they could hate the character depending on what the story is, but they still like the character. And the greatest thing that can happen is if nobody wants to put down the book because they want to see what happens next, or they just love the story. And again, how to get to that within the trust is, if there are moments you cannot figure out the words you want to use, then sometimes you need to act it out. So if some kids are coming over and they're going to hula hoop together, it might have been a while since you hula hooped. So get yourself a hula hoop and practice. And oh my goodness, I did that. I never giggled so hard in my life, or at least in years, because I used to be able to keep a hula hoop up at least a tiny bit. My friend Connie Ann, she could keep a hula hoop up forever. I don't know how she did it. But the words come to you. If you are trying to describe what it was like, because you're going to roll down a hill, you may not have a hill outside, but get on the ground and roll in the front yard or the park one more time to help that feeling come back. Because when you do, and then you go to write it, it's going to be a truthful feeling, and the words just roll right off of you. And when the words roll right out of your mouth onto the paper, it's going to do the same for the person reading it, and they are going to love your book. So those are my ingredients for the characters. You need to meet, you need to know, and you need to trust. And from there, you are ready to rock and roll. And that's what I have for you today, Dr. Jacalyn. You have to unmute.
Thank you. No, that was excellent as always. So much good content. I want to review it with you. We did get a question for a comment from LinkedIn. By the way, the hello sister-in-law, that is Laura.
I had a feeling.
Okay, here's the question that we have. Are the rules the same? Who, what, where, and when? And now they just added and why.
Oh, yes, of course. I just added my own touch to the basic ingredients of who, what, where, and why. Because I wanted, especially in the character, I just feel there's so many wonderful books written. And if the person would have, if it just developed and understood their character better, the book might have been stronger. And so that's just something that I've learned over the years. And so I'm just really sharing a little bit more in depth of what I'm doing. So
thank you so much for the question. We definitely appreciate it.
Yes, definitely.
I was going to say, I loved how you used the word recipe, because whether you cook or not, someone can understand that here's something to follow, so that at the end you're going to have something. And having just written my own book, I didn't have a recipe to follow. And what you just said, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't have that. But that would have been really helpful.
Oh, thank you.
So do you find, Diann, that when you're writing that you follow the same process?
No.
Okay.
Well, I should say yes and no. First of all, you never know when inspiration is going to hit. And for me, usually the idea comes and I develop the plot. And once I know the plot, and the reason I quickly said no was because for me personally, once I know the idea I want, I like to know what the outcome is going to be. And then I draw this arc. And so developing the plot is a big thing for me, and I can spend a lot of time on it. But the main point is that I'm one of these people that I don't have to write in order. Some people have to write beginning, middle, and end. Sometimes I either am so inspired and I wake up and I write all the ideas down right then, and then I write the story, and then sometimes I write the ending and then work out everything else. But I always stop and really think about meet, know, and trust when it comes to developing the character. I think it's very important.
Meet, know, and trust. Yes, and that's I like it. Recipe, meet, know, and trust. It's easy to remember. Very logical.
Thanks.
Diann, for people who are watching and listening and are not familiar with your works, could you share your books with us? Do you have them there?
Sure. I'll be happy to. Of course, my commercial that Al and you did is incredible. But,
yes. Why don't we play the commercial and then we'll come back to you? That's a great idea. Thank you. We'll play the commercial and then we'll have you show your books. And if you would read from one of them, that would be terrific. How do you feel about that?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for reminding me. We have this fabulous commercial. Okay. Here it is. Take a look.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, Diann Boehm. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Diann Floyd Boehm tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Diann's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diann's Little Girl in the Moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diann's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Diann's delightful books and much more at diannfloydboehm.com. Visit diannfloydboehm.com. That's diannfloydboehm.com.
I do love that, and I think a lot of it has to do with your illustrations are so beautiful, and then combined with you opening it up, and talking to everyone, and then Al's voiceover. I think together it's just, I personally love it.
I do too. And, for everyone listening, that's my very first commercial. And every time I see it, I'm just like, wow, Dr. Jacalyn makes dreams come true.
I hope you're playing it on your website, are you?
I haven't. Oh, my website designer, she's putting it up. So it should be up in the next couple of days. And but I just put it on LinkedIn too. So I'm very
good. Good. I'm
really, I hope you have some ruby red slippers because you really do make dreams come true. Maybe it's the magic wand you need.
Thank you. Well, of course, I don't do it by myself. That's for sure. I have people like you and Al and Trish and Megan. I could go on and on. I do have ruby red slippers, ruby red shoes, by the way. And it's so funny. I was just thinking that maybe at some point I'll actually put on a pair of heels instead of being in bare feet as I am right now. So Diann, going back to your presentation, and obviously we're on the show, A Better You. I feel like first of all, you're such an amazing storyteller, and you're so passionate about what you do. And then the quality of the writing and the illustrations is just top notch. And I'm just thrilled that you're here and that we watched the commercial, but I'd love to see you just hold up your books if you would. And then if you can show us some of, yes, like it, there you go.
There's so many of them now.
Yeah.
And more in the popper.
That's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about each one?
Sure. I'll start off with Harry the Camel. I used to live in Dubai for 14 years. What a wonderful place. And I wanted to give back to Dubai. And camels are such a part of their culture. And I had so much fun going to the desert and riding them all the time. So I thought how much fun it'd be to ride a camel, and my own personal thank you to Dubai. And so again, I had to think about what I wanted the story to be and the plot. And from there, how I wanted Harry the Camel to be. And the other character is Omar. And Harry doesn't like himself, but in the very end, he discovers there's nothing better than being who you are. So, but there's a little bully in there, and I'll read a little bit about him in a moment, if you still like. Let me just put that down so I don't lose my page. And then the little girl in the moon, there is a whole backstory about the moonlings, and they live on the moon. And there's a whole story I have of how they came to be and how even they became the moonlings. And it was by creating that backstory that I was able to go forward and talking about first the little girl in the moon. Then I introduced the little boy in the moon, and now we have the Moonling Adventures. And again, to tell your audience, to fit in with what I was discussing earlier, the backstory is so important. And I actually hope one day that the Moonlings end up being a great cartoon animation show because they're so adorable. So in this one, the Moonling, and this is actually my very first illustration that I ever did in my whole life, which is another story to talk about illustrations. But the little girl in the moon, and if you see, it's not even a little girl, it's about her wishes and wanting the earthlings to know that she's there. And so she asks her mommy, and her mommy's like, why don't they know us? And the mother's like, well, if they did, what would you want them to know? And because I'm a school teacher, I thought, well, I could illustrate a little kid on a swing, and I could illustrate the little kid reading the books, but children have their own imagination, so let them imagine. So I decided to use the phases of the moon to introduce the little girl who lives on the moon. And then the teachers could use it for teaching in science, the different phases of the moon as the little girl is being introduced. And it's a quite fun story to read. And of course, having the curriculum of second grade generally and fourth grade again studying the moon phases works in. And then the little girl in the moon, the big idea. I get so excited because this one was just inspired in the middle of the night. So I'm really proud of it. Can you tell? This one, the little girl in the moon, again, a moonling, and we're earthlings because we live on Earth. And she sees all these wishes flying to the stars. And she's like, oh my goodness, there's so many wishes, more than ever before. And so she tells her mom she's so worried because she sees that a lot of wishes are not making it to the stars. And she wanted kind wishes to make it to the stars. So her mother taught her a secret. So you have to read the story to find out. But based on that secret, wonderful things happen, and she and her friends get together, and before you know it, the whole town is involved. And for a moment in time, there is peace and harmony in the world. And so I'm showing peace and harmony in the world. And it's just a lovely take, I think, on peace, because there was a lot of books written about peace. So how can you do it a little differently? So I decided to use the Moonlings. And then I was like, okay, now I want people to start learning about the Moonlings, because again, remember, I have a whole backstory. So my youngest daughter, Catherine, helped illustrate this, or actually she did all the illustrations. I had nothing to do with it. And she's quite talented because she knows how to do virtual reality and animation and all this other stuff. And so we designed a Taiko Town so that the young children could start seeing what Taiko Town looks like. Because in here you have the moon, and actually I did this one. Taiko Town is a replica of a mini community on Earth, which also works well in teaching the classroom. But you also start learning the Moonling language there. There we go. So I have fun with that. And so developing a language is an interesting thing. And that's the bank or a banca. Most kids like the word talala. Talala means the doggy, and Kirka. So you can see the illustrations, how gorgeous they are.
Beautiful.
And it's one of the little girl, the bakery, the Ferna. And the little girl in the moon uses her doggy, Moxie, to take us around the town. And you'll discover the moonlings doggies even look a little bit different. But you discover that really in the new one, the Moonling Adventures that Gid and Catherine illustrated. And so the two dogs now, because the Moonling girl has two dogs. So now the two doggies, Shadow and Lola, go to the observatory with the little girl and the little boy in the moon. And the first place they go to is the Serengeti. And I actually went to the Serengeti to do some humanitarian work, and I learned so much. And so you're in the observatory, and the doggies, there you go.
Aww, gorgeous.
Can see, and they kind of learn, because they're so smart, Moonling doggies, they know how to control everything. And you travel to Earth, and you travel to the Serengeti. And Catherine did some really beautiful, realistic type versions of the various animals. So I'll just share a couple of pieces. Look at that zebra. I just
Stunning. Really stunning.
And what's so cool is that it can be turned into animation already, because she does her art a lot of times on the computer, because that's what she teaches. So
Very talented.
So that's it. And then I have the one book, Rise, and then I have two more children's books that are with the publisher right now. So first.
That is exceptional. And I love how you work with your daughter. That's so beautiful.
It is exciting. I have three beautiful kids, and all grown up, of course. And each way that we get to interact as adults and grow together is very, very exciting. And they teach me stuff all the time.
And the thing is that you're willing to learn. You're open to learning. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, it does. That's for sure.
Would you like to read us something from your book?
Yes, I thought I had. Okay, let's see. Okay, so setting the scene, Harry is not happy. He's really down in the dumps. And so here we go. Just when he thought things could not get any worse, one of the migrating birds that always teased Harry swooped down to see him. And there he is, right there. Wow. Hey, Lumpy, it's me. I'm back. Your good pal Plover. It looks like you've grown since last year. Say, Lumpy, what have you been doing while I was up north? Did you miss me? Plover could chirp a mile a minute. So poor Harry had to deal with a little bit of teasing. And actually in Dubai, the plover bird is very popular. It's actually a cute little bird. And I want to say I didn't do all of the illustrations. A beautiful friend of mine, she from Yoshida from Sri Lanka. Sorry about that, Yoshida. She's amazing, and she helped with a lot of illustrations. So I want to make sure to give her credit. So look at this beautiful bird.
Wow, I love the detailing.
Yeah,
the shading.
She's very talented, and it's fun to. I'm one of these people, again, for the audience. For me personally, I don't think you have to have the same illustrator, because obviously you're writing different books. And so some people like to know that when you have that look, that's that particular illustrator, and that's fantastic. But for me, I'm trying to open doors for other people as well. And so giving the opportunity for Yoshida from Sri Lanka to take her beautiful art, and she's very well known for her art in Dubai, and giving her the chance to do a children's book, it's just really extremely rewarding. So that's why I have different illustrators.
So many fabulous tips out there. Diann, do you plan on going back to teaching in school?
No, not as a formal teacher, but I do hope, and I have recently, until the big COVID thing, go into schools and volunteer and read. Now the schools hire me to come in, and in all different levels, even I've done high school, where I encourage kids to use their imagination, and I help them. And by the time, if I'm there for a whole week, the kids, especially in 6th grade up, will have completed a storybook, or at least a small story that they've written on their own. And I absolutely love that. For younger children, I've gone in and taught them, just read to them and let them ask me questions, and it's just fun. I just love it, and I actually get new words from them all the time. And I'm on this new platform called Talk a Book, if you don't mind me letting me share. And that's incredible. So I had to come up with some new fun things to teach on Zoom. So one of my new ways you can hire me is I teach rock painting and how to develop the characters through rock painting. And that's been really fun. So I have some really fun rocks.
And Diann, what platform is that?
That's called Talk a Book. We should have them on sometime. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think you introduced me to them. It's TALKABOOK.
Correct. Yep.
Talk
They're right there in New York, by the way.
Fantastic. So as we come to the end of our show, I'm wondering, you've shared so much great information. Would you mind if we just try to summarize it together?
Sure. Go ahead.
So first, when you're going to write a book, you could follow a recipe. So it's basically a recipe for success.
Correct.
From an international award-winning author. So if I were going to write a book, I would want to follow someone like you. So you need a recipe, and then also 3 key steps: meet, know, and trust.
For the characters.
For the characters, yes. So the character development is extremely important, because that's who we kind of connect with as we read a book.
Right.
And you shared the importance, depending on who your audience is, how you develop those characters, from the way they speak, to the way they dress, to the way they act.
Correct. Very good. You're a listener.
Thank you. Thank you. What did I miss in that area? Anything?
No, I think you did it well. And knowing where they live makes a difference too. And even knowing if they're an only child or a middle child, like I'm the 3rd out of 6, plays a role in how that character might be too. So.
And so I know from you being on and presenting before, you talked about some of the things that you do to prepare yourself to be able to write. And I have essential oils that I've been using more often, and because some of them they open your mind to explore. Yeah. And so let's just start from the very beginning. You follow certain things that you do to get yourself ready. An idea comes to you, or maybe an idea came to you before you were getting ready. You're just doing something, and an idea came, and you thought this might be a good idea for a book. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
And so I have my notepad that I keep everything in.
You write everything. Always have something with you, because you never know when an idea might pop in your head. You want to be able to write it down wherever you are.
Right.
Okay.
And be able to write down words that you're at a park and and you hear a word and you're like, oh, I really like that word. You might forget it, so write it down. So, and also if, for example, another sister-in-law, because remember I have 5 brothers, she said a really funny word yesterday and I already forgot it. So after this, I'm going to be texting her and go, now, what is that word your mama used? I just thought it was so cute. But then it was like, it's gone. So everybody carry a notepad with you.
Yeah, you know, one thing I want to say about notepads, like I have, I don't know, maybe 10 of them here. I write everything down, but then I don't remember what notepad I put it in, because even though each notepad is for something specific, I'm in a rush and I'm like, oh, I'll just grab the first notepad. But the good news is I remember I wrote it down. So I just have to go through them and just find
where is that thing?
Right, exactly. So you're prepared, you've written things down, you've got a recipe, and then what's next?
So when we say prepared, that means my writing room is always set up, which I can always share with your audience again.
Yes.
But it's always ready, and it's sort of my holy spot for writing. And when I walk in that room, and like you mentioned, essential oils, right? There's different oils depending on how I feel that day to kind of get me going. Lavender or a woody essential oil really is inspiring and just does something to you. But it's the plot that comes. So for me, it's the plot. I get that done first, and then from there I can move forward.
So I want to ask you a question. So you're in your writing room, mm-hmm. and you have a plot. You go into the room. You're mentally prepared. You're awake. You've used the essential oils, but nothing's coming to you.
That can happen, right? So that's where, when I was talking about, the plot and different things are going to happen. Maybe you need to act it out, and maybe you need to move around the room. Maybe you need to just go, because that's what the character is going to do in order to make something else happen. So you have to try to start embracing some of the feelings that the character has in order for the story to move forward. And that's what you always want, is you want the story to always be moving forward. And that's where that tool that I said, the power of words, or actually I said the tools, and I like to call it the power of words, helps you in making that happen.
And thank you for that, Diann. I think it was Red O'Laughlin who was on, and he said to write something every day, write a paragraph, right? Just write something, anything, how you're feeling, what you saw, get in the habit of writing on a regular basis. And I guess when you do that, that helps parlay into whatever it is that your book, to help you keep your mind going and be open to writing. Is that accurate?
I think Red is absolutely correct, especially if you, you for the audience, if you believe you're going to be an author, then tell yourself every day, I am an author, I am an author. But it means that you need to write. And if it means like all you do is write, I am an author, and then the next day, I am going to write a great book, and just keep adding to it. Write 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, and let that become part of who you are, and you will become that person. I did not sit down and write The Little Girl in the Moon. That's like maybe the 30th story that I've written. So when I decided I'll back up. So I love to sing. I have a simple voice, but my daughters have incredible voices. And I needed to step back and not be singing and performing as much, because I wanted them to grow, and I wanted to have a beautiful relationship, and I didn't want them always to be looking up at mama. Not that they should or did, but I didn't want that to be something. And so I was in the garden, because I like to garden. I don't have the greatest green thumb, but it's really a great place for me to get inspiration. And it came to me that I needed to just start writing my stories down. And so then I started writing, and I wrote just a little bit. And then I ended up writing some more things. And now I have a bunch of stories written. But it was a process. And in this process is taking me to where I am today, and why I'm so pleased to share. I really appreciated the one person who wrote in and said the who, what, where, and why, because obviously, yes, you must have that. But I wanted to go deeper. And so for me, it's all about the character. And when you're on stage and you're acting, because I love to act, the first thing they teach you in high school or junior high, whenever you start, is the character has to be truthful. Well, for me, that's the same process as writing. And so that's when I came up with meet, know, and trust. And there's even a backstory to that I won't bore you with, but I'll tell you sometime off stage. But I just think it works, and I just want people to believe in themselves, and I know that they have a story that will inspire all of us and to go for it.
Yes, and thank you again, Diann, because you shared, you've written a lot of things, and now you're an international award-winning author. So that didn't happen overnight. That's what I want people to realize, that you put so much time and effort, and what you've put out there is a high quality product, that it's attractive. Your books are very eye-catching. And I think they also inspire emotion, looking at the illustrations, and then they're very well written. And then each story actually has a meaning that is taken outside of the book itself that you can apply to your life. And it doesn't matter if you're a child or you're an adult. And you've mentioned before on this program the importance of adults reading children's books as well.
That's true. I'm such a believer that books are for all ages. And especially like the Little Girl on the Moon, The Big Idea, there's so much layering to it. And how you read it one time at one age is definitely different than how you read it as an adult, again, because it has to do with peace and love. But on a young kid's surface, it's going to be all about those kind wishes getting to the stars.
I love that. Kind wishes. I want to say hello to some folks who are watching, and I'm really sorry, I'm not going to say your names correct. I apologize in advance. Yalan Darkan Bettini, Joe Colon, I know Joe, Andrew Stewart Walker, X.E. Sean Claude, and Kim Isaac. So thank you very much for watching the program. We appreciate it. We're at the top of the hour, and I actually have a lunch club meeting now.
I don't know, it went by so fast. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. I want to announce who our guest is going to be on Friday. Yes. Let me just find it. So as we mentioned earlier, Diann and I have a brand new show coming out starting this Friday. It'll be on every week at noon Eastern time. And it's called Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, Fashion, Fitness, Travel, and Leisure. Diann and I are co-hosts, and our guest is Marcellus Jones, Marcellous Jones. And I believe, I'm going to zip over to LinkedIn, I believe that Marcellus works at the Sorbonne. Marcellus, let me just, here it is. Marcellus Jones is our guest and professor of sociology at this, is it Sorbonne?
He's going to tell us on Friday.
Okay. Project lead at European Consortium for Emerging Fashion, award-winning fashion critic, TV host, and award-winning humanitarian. Joining us from the Greater Paris metropolitan region. So that's pretty exciting.
It's very exciting, and what a kickoff. Paris!
All right. Well, it has been a pleasure seeing you, and thank you for being here to educate us again with another phenomenal lesson. We're looking forward to putting the lessons up on our learning platform, name to be determined. We'll be launching it by the end of the month, hopefully. So thank you, everyone, for watching. You can join us tomorrow. We have Better You at 2:00 Eastern time, and we have It's All About Dating at 4:00. So in between then and now, I'm going to get some sleep so I can speak properly. Thank you again. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.